Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our presentation today, Accelerating SharePoint with Total Work Management. My name is Heather Champeau, and I'll be your presenter today. We have a few quick logistics to cover before we get started. We are expecting a large audience, so we'll not be able to open the line for questions. However, I have a co-presenter on the line, Matthew Willey. He'll be able to help monitor the presentation and answer the questions via the chat module, should you have any throughout the presentation. If for some reason we are unable to answer any questions, I'll be reviewing all questions and answers following the webinar, and I can get back to you directly if needed. You can also feel free to send an email to me directly if that's easier. My information is up on the screen, and I'll be happy to answer them there as well. That being said, all lines will be muted throughout the presentation. If for some reason you get distracted or pulled away, we will be sending out the recording of the webinar following the presentation as well. And finally, for those of you who need PDU information, we'll be giving you that information at the conclusion of the presentation today. So with that, let's get started. SharePoint is the most common collaboration tool on the market today. It was really common in the early adoption years to see SharePoint implementations that were intended really for content management purposes only. But now, as you probably know, organizations are really thinking outside of the box, and they're expanding their implementations. We all have heard the phrase, do more with less, so it's a really good way to protect your current investment and minimize costs. Than to leverage to use the same platform to bring other types of solutions such as project management, product development, work management, service management to your organization as well through the same platform. This webinar today will help you understand how to leverage your existing SharePoint investment and then extend its capabilities to drive as much business value as possible. We'll be covering the following topics that you see on the screen. First, we'll be covering a general overview of SharePoint. What is it and what are its common uses? We'll then discuss SharePoint challenges that are seen across many SharePoint organizations. And then we'll briefly cover a quick SharePoint deployment checklist that may be beneficial to those who are deploying SharePoint. We'll then drill into the fun stuff, extending SharePoint. What customizations can you make that'll extend the use of SharePoint within your organization? And then lastly, we'll touch on EPM Live, an all-work management platform. We'll cover its features, what you can expect with an EPM Live implementation. And then Matthew will drill into a demo as well. So with that, we'll get into the details. SharePoint is still a rage. It was first launched in 2001 by Microsoft. It's still, in my mind, one of their biggest hits to date. There's plenty of reasons why it has become so popular, two of which are because anyone can have it. The basic version is still free. However, features are enhanced as you move from version to version, as with most software. You go from Foundation to SharePoint Server. They have SharePoint Online as well now with Office 365. Secondly, it's amazing convenient. From all user perspectives, contributors to administrators, ease of use leads to user buy-in and fast adoption, and it has both. SharePoint is adding value to businesses and users all over the world. So at a very generic level, SharePoint contributes in several ways. It's used as a common location for information storage and access. Beyond a central storage system, though, SharePoint is used as a basic collaboration tool to collaborate on documentation, links, and any other type of shared information you may have across the business. It also helps maintain a single version of truth and supports version control. It offers an improvement over file shares and local storage. Most of the companies who've made good use of their SharePoint deployment have created team sites to extend document storage and collaboration to task collaboration, list collaboration, and further communication. All said and done, though, it's well known that businesses aren't utilizing SharePoint to its full potential. In order to derive that value from SharePoint, you really need to extend its capabilities. Extend the usage of SharePoint from a secure repository, ad hoc process, and basic collaboration tool to a full business process system, a business application system, and an integration tool that can integrate with legacy systems. Of course, like any great thing, it doesn't come easy. It requires a lot of effort, time, and cost commitments, and we'll get into some of those as well. There are many ways you can extend your SharePoint capabilities to deliver that business value. These are just two examples: business processes and extending SharePoint across the enterprise. Business process examples would include mapping current business processes to SharePoint by customizing workflows, leveraging forms, leveraging third-party applications with workflow capabilities. Also standardizing SharePoint processes by leveraging best practice templates, standardizing SharePoint tools, and then also utilizing pre-built solutions specific to your particular business needs. There's many SharePoint add-ons in the market today that can help you add value and reduce the time to market for needed solutions, and we can talk about that in a little bit as well. You can also maximize the use of SharePoint by offering business tools for all work, projects, products, services, etc., across the organization for even more efficient work management, and then to further your SharePoint investment. Enterprise examples would include things like integration. This is the most optimized stage of any SharePoint deployment, where you're not only using SharePoint to the best of its capabilities, but also bringing in critical information from other applications via integration. What that does is it forms a centralized hub for all business critical data. You can also use it to retire legacy systems to reduce cost and enforce standards. Build a path essentially to one business platform for all users, all their work, and then every business need, while bringing all data into that one centralized location. Also leveraging SharePoint to implement business applications needed by the enterprise, such as project management, time management, service management, application management. It's really endless what you can do with it from an LOB perspective. Extending SharePoint capabilities will come out of efforts that are proactive and aimed towards a deeper and broader usage of the SharePoint platform. As with any new technology, you need a positive ROI to prove it out. So to obtain this, SharePoint must be planned and deployed in the right way, mainly because the capabilities are really endless. Along with any new technology, as I mentioned before, you have challenges that arise. If these challenges are considered up front and addressed throughout the implementation, the chances of success will be much greater. Again, with any system, usability is a must, so adoption is key. You want to keep in mind the following challenges that I'm going to put up on the screen here as you deploy your SharePoint implementation. Lack of SharePoint expertise. So as I mentioned before, most SharePoint infrastructures are underutilized, primarily due to the lack of SharePoint expertise. If you don't have a champion who understands the power of the tool, its features, its capabilities, how it can benefit your overall organization, you could almost be destined to fail before you even get out of the gate. You must understand the potential of SharePoint and how the system can benefit every user in your organization. Plus, how will you know how to address business pain points if you don't understand its capabilities, right? So it's key. Following implementation, there must also be experts in place to answer end user questions, help them adopt to the tool set, and of course, prevent the fear of the unknown that comes with many technologies. Missing stakeholders. One of the most common mistakes made in SharePoint deployments is the inability to define all stakeholders, their challenges, their current tools, and their current processes. Depending on work focus, end-user maturity levels can also come into play. For example, project management. You might have users using the system that are, need more mature work processes than others. An effective SharePoint strategy addresses all of these areas. Overall, knowing and understanding your target audience and who will be using the tool will definitely result in higher user adoption, leading to overall acceptance and maximized ROI. Lack of governance. We've all heard this before. SharePoint can easily get out of control without the proper governance in place to manage your environment. There has to be standards and best practices to ensure compliance and organization of the data within the platform. The fact is, all users work differently. They follow different leaders. They have different work processes. The benefits of the system really must be clearly defined, as well as the use cases. The users must understand how they are expected to use the system, and they should be properly trained on each one of those scenarios. Again, adoption really is key. Disorganized and unstructured data can lead to user frustration, and eventually they could potentially abandon the solution, and you don't want that to happen. So make sure the users know how to use the tool and make sure the data is organized and easy to find. In addition, have the appropriate security in place. You want to prevent data chaos, and you want to ensure that users feel comfortable that their content is secure. Lack of planning. I think it was 2 years back, Gartner reported that SharePoint inquiries were up by 50%. More than half of those inquiries were related to expanding the depth and scope of SharePoint. It's very common for SharePoint collaboration features and functions to fall short of meeting comprehensive business requirements, yet the capabilities are limitless if leveraged in the right way. In order to expand an underutilized environment, you have to look at in-house customizations, as I mentioned before, third-party add-ons or solutions, and other integration tools that can help extend your environment. Once SharePoint functions are expanded, most organizations then fail to plan accordingly for additional costs and risk involved in migrating to future SharePoint versions. So you want to keep that in mind as well. Other planning considerations also include user locations, expected user volume, storage, access needs, and complexity and navigation. So keep all of those in mind. Lack of training. As with any enterprise system, training is critical. In fact, I've mentioned it in some of the other challenges above as well, and rightfully so. If the users don't know how to use the system and clearly understand how the tool will benefit them in their everyday work initiatives, you can't expect them to adopt to it. So training and communication is critical in all deployments, especially for a business productivity system. It's only as good as the data going in, right? So especially if the SharePoint environment will be extended to meet business needs such as project management, service management, other LOB functions, it's very critical to get everyone to adopt to the tool and trained up. Also, as I mentioned before, it must provide benefit to each one of them. Using the tool is one thing, properly using the tool is another, and that can only really come with training. So don't overlook any of these challenges prior to planning your SharePoint implementation. We here at EPM Live have been involved in hundreds of SharePoint deployments, and more often than not, these challenges are all present. I'm personally a true believer that uncertainties can't be prevented. So take an agile approach and have a game plan ahead of time to mitigate any risk that may arise throughout your deployment and your processes. So now what? Well, let's assume that you've considered all the challenges and you're ready to move forward with your plan. Before you do, use the following, as you can see on the screen, the high-level list of deployment tasks as a checklist to ensure your deployment will be successful. It's highly likely that you may not be able to cover all the bases with your current staff on hand. So as you're trying to do more with less, maybe you don't have a SharePoint expert, maybe you don't have the bandwidth to implement SharePoint with your current resources. My recommendation, get help. It's a large initiative. Don't skip any of these steps above because your resources are constrained. Plan ahead. Ensure you have the right resources with the right skill sets so that your implementation is successful. So let's take a look at a few considerations that should be evaluated prior to moving forward with SharePoint customizations. Most likely, in order to meet all of your requirements, you're going to have to look at customization to ensure that the SharePoint infrastructure is leveraged to its full potential. Organizations really struggle with this area due to the high maintenance costs that can be associated to costly third-party add-ons, solutions, etc. It's a common trend due to the facts stated earlier, right? Most SharePoint collaboration features fall short of meeting comprehensive business requirements. So if you have comprehensive business requirements, you're going to need some help there. Strategic business applications can exist in SharePoint and should if you want to get the most out of your investment and ensure end user adoption. Augmenting and extending functions is a common need with SharePoint, but as I mentioned before, they must be carefully planned out to prevent risk. In many cases, developing customizations in-house can cause a maintenance nightmare moving forward when looking to upgrade or when troubleshooting SharePoint issues in general. Several reasons for this. Maybe your SharePoint expert or developer is no longer available, so continuity and knowledge of the original customizations may not exist. Maybe the customizations aren't compatible with future upgrades. Maybe they're not supported, leading to a potential roadblock when system bugs are identified and troubleshooted in the future. Development cost and time to market requirements may exceed expectations and allowances. These are very common. These same problems can arise on the other side as well. So how can you prevent these problems moving forward? On the right side, you'll see some of the risk mitigation. Limit yourself to one third-party vendor that can accommodate most, if not all, of your customization needs. Ensure that third-party tools and applications are fully supported and will continue to be supported. That one is key. They'll continue to be supported by the vendor as each new version of SharePoint is released. So make sure that they've been in the marketplace for a while as well. Seek out add-ons, applications, and solutions that can be easily installed. Prevent those costly deployments and minimize risk of end-user rejection by aligning the best practice implementations to your deployment. It's also a good idea to revisit original SharePoint requirements in 6-month intervals to ensure that the implementation isn't becoming too large, too fast, and that it's being properly governed to accommodate all the changes moving forward. As users adopt to SharePoint, business requirements will grow rapidly, very quickly. They'll get more excited about all the things that it can do, and the growth must be properly supported and governed. Now I want to take a quick minute to talk a little bit about EPM Live. EPM Live is part of Upland Software, the largest provider of cloud-based enterprise software for project portfolio and work management. EPM Live has a very strong user base, can be found in Gartner's cloud-based IT project and portfolio management services Magic Quadrant. We've been implementing EPM and PPM solutions since 1999, and we specialize in supporting all work, all users, and all processes. In Gartner's latest research for the Magic Quadrant, Gartner noted that today's project management platforms must accommodate integrations with other platforms, such as new product development, service management, ALM, or application lifecycle management. And they say that in order for these vendors to keep a competitive advantage. EPM Live is one of the only platforms that not only integrates with other LOB systems, but it also offers all of these solutions within its offering through the app marketplace, and we'll cover that in a little bit. It's really designed to manage all work in the truest sense. You can now manage projects, products, services, as well as any other type of work within one platform without the need for integration, if that's out of scope for your organization. And because all this work is managed differently, we have those solution apps that I mentioned in the app marketplace that allow each department or team the right tools that they need to manage their particular work efforts. As I mentioned before, we specialize in allowing only the functionality required to meet each user's need and their maturity level. So for example, marketing can leverage the simple scheduling tools to run marketing campaigns, while product teams may use more mature agile tools to plan their iterations and releases. And meanwhile, IT PMOs, for example, may need full-blown scheduling engines to build out their plans. So regardless of the maturity of the users, the tools are offered within EPM Live. In addition, some teams may simply assign tasks to resources, while other teams may need to forecast the resources, match skill sets, perform resource modeling scenarios, and then assign a resource that meets the requirements. So based on what the user needs to do, all of the different levels of functionality are available. Each capability has various usage scenarios to ensure that the users are only, again, using the functionality needed to match their maturity and skill set, so that user adoption and usability remains high. Mentioned before, EPM Live application offers a full work management app marketplace within the solution to ensure the users always have what they need to scale their EPM and PPM system, as well as their SharePoint environment. There's hundreds of free apps, so they range from full solutions such as new product development, application lifecycle management, IT service management, PPM, which are the full solutions, to process definitions such as PMBOK, Agile, Prince2, etc., all the way to third-party partner apps that we have, such as Yammer, Helpdesk, K2. And then we also have single app plugins if you want to just add individual functionality like expense reports or invoices, help desk tickets, etc. So, iPhone, for example, is a very powerful device. However, it's much more powerful due to the endless apps that extend its base functionality, right? So the same goes for EPM Live. The features we offer are award-winning and rank among the best on the market. In addition to our base EPM, our app marketplaces extend that functionality. So you'll want to check that out. We'll give some more information, and Matt will show it here in a little bit. EPM and PPM systems are typically not simple, and many times resistance follows due to forced processes, change across an organization, or even fear of the unfamiliar. EPM Live SharePoint base already contributes to less resistance and a faster user adoption. However, we offer users many support formats to ensure users have what they need to continue to really increase their productivity with EPM Live. You can see on the screen some of the following support tools that we have available for every user. Many systems specialize in either online or on-premise solutions. We offer all deployment methods to support the requirements of every customer. So EPM Live offers online, hosted, on-premise options, as well as a dedicated environment offering. Large enterprise accounts will often run their POC, their proof of concept, online to get up and running fast and prove the value of the system quickly, and then they'll move it in-house at a later time. So that's an option as well. Essentially, deployment options will never be a limitation. So now that we've covered all there is to know about EPM Live, I'm going to hand the presentation over to Matthew Lilly so he can walk you through a live demonstration of some of the most common EPM Live features that you may want to consider when extending your SharePoint environment to a total work management platform. So Matt, over to you. 1 second while I switch it over.
Thank you, Heather.
No problem.
Thank you. So we'll be taking a quick look today at the different features that are available, as Heather mentioned. We won't go into detail on everything. It'll just be a high-level overview of certain features. So feel free afterwards. We'll give you more information if you're interested, and you can get a full demo or whatever other information or questions that you may have. We'll be happy to give to you. So real quick, I'm just taking a look at the EPM Live website. Feel free to go to epmlive.com so you can take a look. Under product, you can see some of the different features and capabilities, reporting, integration, etc., that's available within EPM Live, so you can get a little bit more information from there as well. And if you want to sign up for a trial, feel free to do that. You can sign up here and you'll be able to get a trial that's very similar to like what we're going to be looking at today. So let's jump into the app marketplace. As Heather mentioned, we have a full app marketplace. EPM Live is a per user fee, so if you are subscribing to EPM Live, then all the different apps that you see here are free to you, except for the third-party partner apps. But every single one that EPM Live has built, all of our so-called native apps, are all free. There's about 75 or so, and they range from everything from ideation to full professional services, solutions, new product development, service requests, all different types of things. So feel free to go into market.epmlive.com. Use the filters on the side over here to find the specific ones that you want if you're looking for Agile apps or human resources apps or idea management, whatever it might be. So jumping into our demo site here, I'm logged in as a standard user within the system. I'm not an administrator. And I can see many different features and capabilities. So I see things like requests and portfolios and projects and tasks. The site that I'm in here is set up to be our standard out-of-the-box project management system. So we have all these different apps here pre-configured, set up, ready to go so that you can try them out and kind of see what it would be like to use our standard project management system. But what you can do then is you can add in other apps, or you can start from other solutions. We have IT solutions, marketing solutions, etc. And I have a different example here. This particular one is more of an IT type solution. So we still have the standard project management capabilities because within IT you still have to manage projects. But we have some extra capabilities that we've added, and these are all just apps really that have been added into this system. So I have things here like service requests, there's a service catalog, a knowledge base, some different reports. I have an application management community where I can manage all my applications and the backlog around them, wikis, etc., those types of things. So you can see there's many different use cases here. Today we're just going to focus on the standard project management use cases and some of the core features that are available in that. But those features will expand across different use cases as well. For example, if you're in the IT world and you're managing IT projects, you're still going to use a lot of the same features that I'll be talking about today. So let's jump into it. I'm here on my home page, and this is technically speaking, a SharePoint site with EPM Live installed on top of it. So this is helping you extend those capabilities of SharePoint. But we're adding a ton of different things into the system so that you have a lot of extra capabilities available to you. For example, there's a social stream here. And the social stream is going to show you what's going on with all the different work and projects that you're involved with. So if someone posts a new issue for a particular project that you have access to, you will see that here, so you'll have visibility into what's going on. If someone updates a document, for example, it'll notify you here. This is really your stream to see what's been going on for the last day. So every day when you log in, you come and you can scroll down and you can see everything that's been happening. If you have a question about something in line, you can come back and you can comment and you can post that comment, and that'll go to the person who made that update or posted that comment. And you can start to get very collaborative, especially if people are located in different offices or different regions or even different countries. If you have a team that's more spread out, this can really help make it so that you have more visibility into what's going on, and it's all related back to those projects and that work that you're working on within the system. I have a quick little chart over here that shows me some of the work that's assigned to me and what status it's in. I have some items that are in progress, some items that are not started, some items that I've completed, so I can kind of keep track of what items I have that I need to be working on soon. And then down here, I have an area where I can quickly share some documents. We do utilize SharePoint's document management capabilities, so there's everything from check-in, check-out. You can edit a document at the same time as someone else's, real time. You can put approvals around documents, all different types of things like that. But I can use this to quickly just drag and drop and upload files here and share those with other people. So diving into more of the work and project management part of the system, the first thing we'll take a look at is requests. So you can capture requests in the system. These can be project requests or work requests or whatever types of requests you may want to capture. And there's different apps that you can install to kind of configure that a little bit different to capture different information around that. As well as everything you see here is configurable since it is built on SharePoint. You can simply go into the list settings. You can add more custom fields. So let's say you wanted to start capturing the requester of this request. You go into the list settings, you add a new requester field, and now you can start capturing that. There's a simple approval process that's configured out of the box. However, using the workflow capabilities within the system, you can make that more complex and have more logic there as needed to be able to really map to any process that you may have around your project requests and or work requests, those types of things. But basically, people come in, they put in their requests, and then I can view this particular request. And when I'm ready, there's a button here to convert that into a project so that I can basically approve that, and it'll send notifications to the right people, etc. Another popular feature is portfolios. So portfolios, what they really allow you to do is group a lot of different similar projects together. So if you have 5 different projects and they're all very similar for one reason or another, maybe they're all part of product innovation, or they're all trying to reduce the expenses that you have, those types of things. You can group those projects together into different portfolios so that you can total up that information from those projects and see how that portfolio as a whole is going. So it's kind of, one level back, drilling out one level and looking at, okay, how's this whole portfolio going? So for example, I can see here I have my product innovation portfolio, and there are 5 different active projects going on for this portfolio right now. And then I have some KPIs here, things like what state is my portfolio in? All of these are active here. This one's proposed. What is my budget status? So how am I doing on budget? Am I spending too much, basically, comparatively to what I budgeted? Schedule status. Are we on track with the project schedules, the actual execution of the projects that are related to this portfolio? And then work status. Maybe we're on schedule, but we're spending too many hours, right? We budgeted a certain amount of hours for these projects, and we're spending too many hours. People are actually, doing more work than what was originally planned needed for these particular projects. You can also then switch, if you want to look at this data in a little bit more graphical manner. I'll switch to more of a dashboard view. And with most things within EPM Live, these dashboards are configurable. So you can see, things like budget by portfolio. Clearly here, my reduced expenses portfolio has the biggest budget. And you can see in this dashboard, and you can configure these very similar to like an Excel report. So you pick your x-axis, your y-axis, those types of things to set up these types of reports. I have a nice bubble chart here that's showing me my benefits comparatively to the average prioritization of a project. And then the size of it is actually the budget. And then looking at it a little bit more, you can compare the budgets versus the benefits for each of these particular portfolios. So you can track a lot of different data, everything from costs to schedule, et cetera, and roll all that up from the project so that you get a total view of it here. And you'll see that there's many different views. If I wanted to focus more on, say, costs, for example, I would switch to my costs and benefits view, and I could focus more on that. From there, you can then drill down to the projects. So now I want to see, okay, for this portfolio, which projects do I have going on? So I just click under Associated Items here on Project Center, and it's going to show me all of the associated projects to this particular portfolio. So I can drill in and see, okay, we're having some problems with schedule. It was showing yellow there. What's going on? And so now I can see all the projects that are going on for that particular portfolio, and I can see where I have some issues with schedule and with work and issues and those different types of things. And then you can continue to drill in. If I wanted to, for example, see why is my issue status red on this particular project, under associated items, notice I have different choices now. I could click on issues and see all the different issues just for that particular project. So it really allows you to drill in or see things from a very high level. So if you're more of a portfolio manager, this might be the view you want. If you're a project manager, you might want to go to that project view. But everybody has the flexibility to drill in and out, assuming that they have permissions to do so. Most of the, I would say, work, most of the beef of the system is really at the project level, right? That's where you manage a lot of the work that's going on, and that's where you do a lot of your reporting, and that's where you manage your schedule and all of those different types of things. So earlier I created a new project called Tuesday Webinar. And I was going to show you guys a few capabilities that you have that EPM Live adds into SharePoint so that you can extend what SharePoint already has. The cool part is should all be familiar to someone who is used to SharePoint, right? It helps with user adoption because I have a very similar interface with the ribbon and everything that people are just used to, not even just in SharePoint, but in Microsoft products in general. But I can take that and I can extend it and I can do things like, for example, I want to build a resource plan. So I'm going to go ahead and pop open the resource planner here. So what the resource planner is a capability that EPM Live adds that allows you to very quickly, very easily answer two questions. One is, do we have the resources to do the project at hand? And number two is, how much resources is it actually going to take, right? So very easily I can do this by, in the bottom, I have all the different resources that have been added into the system. So all of these resources have already been loaded into EPM Live. We've associated them with departments and roles and work hours and holiday schedules and those types of things. And based on all that information, it calculates their remaining availability here. So I can see some people, like Alan, is way over allocated for most of the year here, whereas other people still have some availability left over, so I can use them for projects during this particular time period. But a lot of times you don't want to start with a resource, a specific resource. You don't know who's actually going to work on your project. The first question really is, how many resources do I think I'm going to need? Is this a 10-person project? Is this a 100-person project? Is it a 1-person project? That kind of a thing. So what I can do is I can start with generics. Let's say I need a project manager and 2 developers. I'll just grab my generic project manager and drag and drop him up to the top. And then I'll grab my developer and drag and drop him up to the top. And then I can start to plan how many hours I think I'm going to need from these different roles. You can do it in hours, or you can do it in FTs or FT percents. I like to plan in FTs, so you can come in and say, I need 2 FTs in this month, 2 FTs in this month, so 2 full-time developers basically. And let's say I just need 1 project manager, 1 project manager. This is a short project. We can leave it at that. Once you've done that, then you can use the matching functionality. And this, a project manager may do this initial request to say, hey, I need these 2 developers and this 1 project manager. And then if you have more of a resource manager or maybe a department manager who's actually assigning and approving resources, they can then come in, select that developer row, hit match, and it's going to look through all my resources for me in the resource pool, and it's going to find the people who are the most available that fit the right department and role I need. So it makes it a lot easier to help find the right people for the job. You can add in other custom columns in here to help with that choice, things like skill sets or like location, so that maybe they need someone in a certain location or with a particular skill. I need a developer who knows Java or whatever it might be. And then once you find the right person, you just drag and drop them up to the top, hit fulfill. And then I'm going to grab 1 more person here, and I'll drag and drop them on top of Adam so that I can split the work between the 2 of them. And now I've very easily found my 2 people, my 2 developers who are going to do this work. And I could do the same for project manager and keep going until I get it how I want it. So this really makes it a lot quicker, a lot easier to figure out, what people are we going to need for this project, and do we have people available? Later on, there's another tool that you can use. We probably won't take a look at today, but if you're interested, for sure, there's analysis tools that are going to allow you to do what if scenarios, and you can say, well, what if we don't do this project? What if we do this project? What if we push this project out 6 months? Then will we be within our resource constraints? Or if not, maybe we need to hire some new people. So you can create all these scenarios around resources and do what ifs to figure out, how you're going to meet the need of all this work that needs to be done on these particular projects. Once your project is approved and someone has basically approved that resource plan, then you can also build a budget. So there's a cost planner here that I can pop open that'll allow me to build budget and also track things like actual costs and benefits, etc. So around this particular project, I can come very quickly, just key in all my different costs here like an Excel spreadsheet. If I have rates set for my resources, I can even then pull in my labor costs. It'll calculate them all for me based on people's rates in the system. So if I needed someone for 10 hours and their rate was $100 an hour, it would automatically calculate in the right period for me $1,000, that kind of a thing. So let's now say our project's been approved, we've done all of our analysis, we've used tools like the optimizer to figure out exactly which projects are going to give us the most bang for the buck, right, the most value for our particular portfolio. Now I'm going to go ahead and build my project schedule. So there's lots of different options that you have for building your project schedule. We have everything from an agile planner, so that you can build your project schedule in a more agile, iterative fashion. So you can add sprints and then drop your tasks or backlog items into those particular sprints. So more of a time-boxed planning planner. There's also an online project planner, which is going to allow you to build more of a traditional waterfall type schedule right within the system without any other tools that you don't have to download anything onto your client computer. You could use Microsoft Project if you choose to do so. That's a very popular option. We have a full integration with Microsoft Project that'll allow you to publish your project schedule into EPM Live. There's also an import button, so if you've already created the schedule, you can import it into EPM Live. And there's even a Kanban planner if you choose to do so. You can use the Kanban planner to move tasks from one status to the next. So it's a very visual kind of drag and drop, nice, easy way to be able to manage the status of those actual tasks as you're executing on those projects. A great thing is, too, you can even use a combination. Maybe I want to use that Kanban planner and my Agile planner, for example, might be a popular use case, so that I can build my initial plan using the planner, but then I can track projects, task status within the Kanban planner. I went ahead and just opened up the online project planner. This is one of the more popular options to use. Again, it doesn't require any extra licensing beyond the basic EPM Live license. And you can come in and you can build a schedule very similarly to like you might in Microsoft Project. So I'll add task 1 and task 2 and task 3. You can then link these tasks together. If I highlight my tasks, I can do all my different link types that I might want to do, finish to start, finish to finish, start to start, etc. You can put in leads and lags between the tasks. There's a Gantt chart in here. You can save baseline. All the different, main features that you may expect in an online planning tool are going to be here. Then I can assign these tasks to people, and that's when the cool stuff starts to happen. So I come in and I assign these tasks to the different people in my team. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to publish out my schedule. So once I get it the way I want it, I've built my hierarchy of tasks, and I've moved everything around, and I have my dependencies set up and all that. I can even make these timesheet items if you're using the timesheet capabilities within EPM Live. Then I'll save that. I'll hit publish, and when I hit publish, that's really going to kick off the workflow for all of these tasks now. That's going to notify people you've been assigned a task. It's then going to show up in their My Work, which is a tool we'll take a look at, so that people know, okay, I have these 5 tasks assigned to me. Here's some details about the tasks, and if I have any questions, I can comment back and ask. So that's definitely a popular option. It's a quicker, it's built right in, it's fully integrated into the tool so that you can use and you can build project schedules right within EPM Live, right? You're extending those capabilities of SharePoint. So now that I have my project schedule and I publish that out, notice I got some notifications here, 2 different tasks I assigned to myself. If I click on that, I can see some more details about the task. And now let's switch more to a team member type of role. I'm going to go into my work here really quick just to show you what that looks like. The goal of my work is to give someone one singular view of all of the work that they're assigned. So we've only really talked about tasks so far, but there's a lot of other types of work that you can track within the system, things like risks and issues and changes and backlog items. And if we hop back here to our app store, you can add in, lots of different work apps like backlogs and service requests that we looked at earlier, those types of things. Every different work item that's assigned to you will show up in here. So I can see I have tasks and to-dos and changes and all different types of things. If it shows up in red here, it means it's overdue, so I have a lot of overdue work. As I work on that, I can just come in and say, you know what, I'm going to work on all these items today here, and then I'll switch to my working on it view. So I can focus in a little bit more. A lot of people have what I call, like work overload. Have 100 tasks assigned to you. But today, I'm just going to focus on these 5 tasks. And as I do them, I just check the checkbox here. That'll automatically notify the project manager if it's a task associated to a project plan that, hey, that task has been completed, so that project managers don't have to continually chase down the team members and say, hey, what's the status, what's the status, what's the status? And instead of me having to send an email back that maybe the project manager sees or maybe they don't, I can just come in and check off the box here. If I do have any questions or if I want to check what's the status, I can. There's a comments feature that allows you to comment on any project or work item within the system. Or document or anything for that matter. I can come in and I can comment and say, hey, I need a little more information on this task, or what's the status of this task? Do you think you're going to get it done on time? Those types of things, and then you can post those comments. The great part about this is it's all tracked in line here in this stream, and that shows up in your social stream as well, by the way. So you can see the history of communication. You don't lose track of that communication because it's all in your social stream, so that you don't have emails flying all over the place and people forget or lose track or don't see it or whatever it might be. It's all sitting right here, and it's always related through this little bubble here to this particular work item. So some really powerful tools there that allow people to really manage their own work and see everything that's assigned to them in one particular place. As I mentioned, there's risks and issues and all different other types of work. It's as simple as if I want to create a new issue, there's multiple ways to do it, but I can come here to my issues list, for example, and I just hit my new item button, and that's going to allow me to create a new issue and associate it to a particular project. There's lots of different metadata around issues and tasks and risks and changes. Don't worry, you don't have to use all of this. You can remove anything that you don't want, or if there's any other metadata that you want to track, you can definitely add that as well. And I would just come in and put a title for this and relate it to a specific project, and I can assign that to someone. I can put effort and say, this shouldn't take more than 10 hours or 20 hours or whatever I want to budget for this particular task. And it's simple as that to add new issues into the system. Risks, changes, they're all going to be the same. When you want to add a new one, you would just go to that list, add a new one, or there's even a nice little button here that'll allow you to create one on the fly. I can create changes or issues on the fly right from here. Status reports are always popular. You want to get status on things. So we have a very nice status reports app that allows you to create status reports from your projects. So you can show a history of the status of that project over time. So I have different projects here, and I have, for this project, one status report, and it shows what all of my different KPIs were at that particular period of time, and here's the reporting date here. And then we have some cool reports, and we'll take a look at some of the different reporting capabilities as well that you can use to then show those status reports in a more formatted way. You can export those, you can email them to people, those types of things. We talked a little bit earlier about document management capabilities. So as I mentioned, SharePoint allows you to keep track of all of your different documents, and you can even relate those back to specific projects or not. So I can see here I have a few different documents related to this particular project. I can edit those documents or upload new versions, and there's versioning and all different types of things around those documents. One big question that people always have is, what are my resources working on? I want to see all the work that's assigned to this particular person for this month, that kind of a thing. So there's a full resource pool here that allows you to see all the resources that you have access to. To make it a little bit easier to look at, I can switch to maybe resources by role or by department. I'll go ahead and select by department here. So now I can see, okay, here's all the resources in my software development department. I can select all those resources, and maybe I'm in charge of this whole department and I want to see what everyone's working on. There's tools here like the assignment planner and the resource planner that we looked at earlier, and then there's the resource analyzer, which we talked a little bit about. And you can use these different tools to really see everything that person is working on, and you can even make adjustments and do what ifs and say, what if we move this task out a few days? How will that affect the project, and will that fix this resource's problem so that they have enough time to do what they need to do? As well as you can see under allocations of like, okay, this person doesn't have enough work to do. We need to give them some more work, right? So you can, all this different work you're tracking, you can see across all of it. There's actually a really nice report that I loaded up earlier that allows you to see all that same information as well, but in more of a report format. It's called the Resource Work versus Capacity Report. So what this is showing me here is I selected a group of resources, say all the resources in my software development department, and then I picked the different work types I want to see, like tasks, risks, issues, changes. I put a from and a to so that I could, look at a specific period in time. And then you can pick how you want to see that data by month, by year, by week, by day, however detailed you want to see it. And then I get this really nice report here that shows me the total amount of work for all these resources compared to the amount of availability for all of the resources together. So you can see as a team, these people don't have nearly enough work. We can do a lot more projects. We can take on a lot more work as a team. However, if you scroll down, you'll see details of each individual resource and if they're over allocated or not in a particular month, as we built this report in a monthly fashion. So it looks like I need to spread this work around a little bit better because some people are over allocated and some people don't have anything to do. And we can probably take on some extra work as well. But then you can drill in and I want to see, okay, why is Adam Barr over allocated in this period of time? So I can drill into this particular report and I can see exactly what Adam Barr is working on here. Excuse me. I opened it up too long ago. But so you can drill in and see all the different tasks and issues and risks and those types of things that particular person is working on and figure out, maybe some of the different work that we can reassign to a different person. So there's a ton of different reports available in here, everything from resource reports around capacity to projects. There's drill-in reports, there's backlog reports if you install those apps, issues, a ton of different reports. Some of the ones that I really like are in a new tool that we have, though, called Upland Analytics, and we'll take a quick look at some of those. So I'll go ahead and open up Upland Analytics here. Upland Analytics is going to show me, it's really going to allow me to build reports without having to be a super technical user. I would say you'd be more of a power user, but not like a full-on developer or anything like that. There's a little bit of a learning curve, but once you learn how to build these reports, it's very powerful, and you can build these types of reports very quickly. Once you know how to do so, especially. So there are drill-in reports, like this portfolio budget drill-in report here. So this is going to allow me to look at the budgets of each of my portfolios. And then I can come to these particular portfolios and I can say, here's that product innovation portfolio that we looked at earlier. And I want to see all the projects budgets for that particular portfolio. I can then just click on it and drill in. And now this is showing me all the projects that are associated to that particular portfolio. And then if I want to, I can drill back out. I can say all, and it'll go back. So you have a breadcrumb here that'll let you go back and forth from drilled in to drilled out. On the fly even, you can change the chart type. So maybe I don't want to look at this in a pie chart fashion. Instead, I want to look at this in a bar chart. I just switch my chart type on the fly, and now I can see the budgets of each particular portfolio in more of a bar chart fashion, and it is even still drill-inable, if that's a word. I can click on product innovation and drill into that same, all those same projects and see the budget for all those particular projects and drill back out. If you really want to get fancy, you can even change colors. If you want to see those things in different colors, you can change the different color schemes here to see the different reports and the different color schemes, those types of things. There's lots of cool chart types. We'll just take a quick look at maybe one or two more. One that I really like lately is the bar chart. So the bar chart's going to allow you to visualize a lot of data at one time. So what this is showing me is here's that same product innovation portfolio. The next level below it is showing me the life cycle stage of my projects. So I have some projects in the manage life cycle stage and some in the plan life cycle stage. And then I have the projects themselves, and the size of those particular boxes is based on the benefit you can see over here. But if I wanted to change that, instead of from benefit to budget, I just update that, and notice the size of these boxes automatically changes. You could also have things like actual costs in here. You could have labor costs, whatever it might want to be, whatever you're tracking within the system. And then again, you can drill in, and I just want to see, all the projects in the manage stage for this particular portfolio, and just drill into those and see those two. But really, it gives you a good graphical representation. You can see, okay, the projects with the largest budget across portfolios are these, and maybe I want to drill into this particular portfolio, and I can see the one with the biggest budget is new product development here, those types of things. So there's some really cool drilling reports, and then there's details below if you want to see all the details behind that in more of a list type of view. The great part, though, is then you can come in and you can export these to Excel, to Word documents. You can even sign up for an email subscription to this so that, once a week you get this email to you. Lots of different cool capabilities within there. Just one more chart type to show you. You can also do pivot charts, which are really cool. So for example, looking at that same cost data, maybe I want to show like budgets versus actual costs. I can do more of a pivot chart that shows me data over time, how it's changed. And so this is looking at the budgets and the actual costs of my different projects here. And I can come in and I can select different projects, or if I wanted, instead of looking at actual cost and budget, maybe I want to look at benefits versus actual costs. I select the projects that I want to see, I hit update, and then it's going to show me that data that I selected right here. Down below, it shows me the detailed data, and it's showing me this by month. So it's saying month 3 of 2013, and I can scroll over and see, month 2 of 2015. What did I do? Those types of things. But really cool, you can change the pivot on the fly. So instead of pivoting by year and month, I could say pivot by, let's see here, I like quarter, for example, year and quarter. So maybe you want to see the data per quarter, not per month. You can switch to that, hit update, and then scroll down, and it'll actually change it. Now we're looking at that data by quarter. So some really powerful business intelligence analytics tools here that you can take all that data that you've been tracking, the resource data and the project data, the issues, the tasks, and show that in meaningful ways so that you can make decisions and really see what's going on with your projects and your tasks and your work and your resources. So at the end of the day, all these capabilities that we showed really leverage the SharePoint platform, right? The lists and the libraries and the views and the great, wikis, document management, all the great things that SharePoint provides. But we've extended that, and we've added in these reporting capabilities and the planning capabilities, both resource and scheduling, etc., to really take it to the next level and get the most that you can out of your particular SharePoint implementation. We do offer this as a SaaS tool, so if you don't already have SharePoint, that's fine as well. Or if maybe for whatever reason you don't want to leverage your current SharePoint environment, we can host this for you on our cloud. So you can implement this in more of a SaaS space. Or if you are an on-site client, you have your own SharePoint implementation, and you want to leverage that, you can do that as well. So we have both options available. So at this moment then, I think we did a pretty good overview of the EPM Live system. Again, if you want more of a deep dive, definitely contact us, let us know, and we'll be happy to show you anything you want. And feel free to browse the website and see all the other capabilities that you can use to extend SharePoint. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Heather so she can give you some more information about the PDUs and things of that nature. Heather, I'm going to go ahead and make you presenter.
Thank you.
And we just have one last slide for you.
Perfect. Get this in player mode here. So with that, thank you for joining for today's presentation. If you would like to learn more about EPM Live, we welcome you to visit epmlive.com to access trials and webinars, white papers, videos. We have a lot of content on the website. If you have any questions specific to today's webinar, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. My contact information is listed on the screen. And for those of you who need PDU information, as promised, the number is listed there on the screen as well. So with that, we'll say goodbye, and we look forward to the next webinar with you. Have a great day.